China's a big threat, there's no doubt about that. But it is also a communist country with a planned economy, no free press. And as we've seen in the Soviet Union, that is not an efficient way to run an economy long term. Who knows what might knock it over as well? Because mistakes get made, which is why these 5 skyscrapers, never ever been used, were blown up in China last month. 15 of them. But now, there's been a much, much bigger commercial mistake, one of the biggest in world history. China's massive Evergrande company has built massive, massive complexes, housing complexes and other projects all over China, but on borrowed money, and has now run out of that money. It owes $170 billion, which is big enough to even threaten the economy of a country as big as China. Its economy, its financial system, and of course there's also the small fact that a lot of depositors are very upset. Joining me is Australia's best finance writer, Terry McCrann of the Herald Sun. Terry, how big is this problem for China?
Well, we really don't know, Andrew, because the figures are opaque. We don't know how much debt it really owes. We don't really know who it owes that money to. Let me say the question that you posed earlier in the show. This is not going to be a Lehman event in terms of dramatically impacting on the world financial system for one very obvious reason. This is sitting inside China. It's not sitting in New York at the heart of the global financial system with all the linkages into all the other global economies, all the other global financial markets. Most of that money that Evergrande owes, and we don't really know what the figure is. You said 170 billion. I've seen figures of 300 billion, and that's US dollars, not Australian dollars. And even that would be probably an underestimate because this is, as we appreciate, Andrew, and as the viewers would appreciate, the Chinese financial system doesn't operate in the full open glare of published balance sheets and numbers that you can trust. So, but most of that money is owed within China to other state-owned enterprises. So, it's not going to collapse immediately because it's going to now meet its latest payments that it's required to meet, which are only quite small relative to those big numbers. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars rather than hundreds of billions of dollars. So, in a sense, it's whatever's happened, whether the system has come together to make sure that it pays the money. It's paying the money. It's not going to collapse immediately. So that string is not going to start to unravel immediately. But I do think it speaks to the bigger issue about China, about how this Chinese miracle, which is so important to us, obviously, because of the iron ore and coal sales that we have to China, how is this miracle being operated, and is it sustainable? Can they keep building more and more buildings, and maybe as you showed, Andrew, then blow them up? You put the buildings up, and then you blow them up. That we'd like them to keep doing that, I think, in a narrow sense, in the Australian context.
Well, I would have thought, Terry, that one reason it might not fail is that the Chinese dictatorship would be freaking about this, because
Absolutely.
there are so many people who have put money into it, small depositors. TV has been showing scenes of people, lost their life savings. And the Chinese dictatorship, all right, it's not elected, but if the people start getting really upset that it doesn't at least deliver economic good, that could be very, very serious for the dictatorship. So how do you expect this to play out?
Well, exactly, Andrew. Well, and to answer the last part first, we don't know how it's going to play out. I mean, what happened is that President Xi embarked on this campaign to try and take some of the heat out of the property market. Now, he probably thought he could do it, like politicians all around the world like to think they can succeed, they can hold back reality, or they can override reality. I want to take the heat out of the property market, this continual process of pouring more and more concrete, building more and more buildings, which are obviously supposedly paid for, bought by ordinary Chinese. And when you're sitting in China, just like you're sitting in Australia, property investment seems to be a very attractive place to put your money, particularly when interest rates are so low. So he wanted to take the heat out of it, but he may have taken too much heat out of it. And, so obviously the Chinese government can back off, the Chinese government can pour money into the sector, but can it keep the music playing, or does it just kick the bubble, further inflate the bubble, further inflate the whole process? That's the question that we really don't know. The answer we really don't know.
Yes, well, it doesn't bode well for Australian makers of steel and concrete and things like that. But anyway, look, Terry McCrann, we shall watch this with huge interest because it could shape the future of China in the future. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you, Andrew.